Hello survivors, hi family and friends, this is Roy from Bootsy Sweetheart's Guide to Life and Other Disappointing Experiences to answer that age-old question, is there an ugly fabric? Well, Tanya McGuire put us to the challenge and sent us a piece of fabric, ugly fabric, and asked us to do something with it. Stay tuned with me and see what I did with this not so ugly piece of fabric. So Tanya, you gave us a challenge. I'm not so sure whether there's such a thing. Well, yeah, there is such a thing as ugly fabric. I happen to like this fabric. I didn't think it was ugly at all. Uninteresting, maybe, but not ugly. And what I liked about it is it's got a stretch, so it's a woven in probably some sort of a double weave. But the back is a different pattern. It's muted, or the pattern really is on the front. So I decided to take this 12 inch by 8.5 approximate piece of fabric and do some weaving with it and see what I come up with. What I did first was, and of course I'm running very behind. I feel like when I'm done I'm going to have to run after the mailman, the letter carrier, to get this posted. I took a piece of gingham, cut it up, dropped it on the floor and ran over it with the wheels of my chair, just to get a feel for whether I'd like the reverse fabric pattern. And I do. I think you might as well. We'll see when we're done. So what I'm going to do is chop these into, I don't know, maybe inch and a quarter strips, and we'll go from there. So here I am with my old trusty rotary cutter and ruler. I'll make the strips an inch. And let me just cut the strips. Since my plan is, since I don't know what I'm going to use this for, what Tanya is going to use this for, I want to back it with a piece of fabric because this does move around. It is very, very giving. So what I did was I have a piece of cork tile. This is a piece of my favorite Heat and Bond adhesive. So it'll glue this side, the underside, to another piece of fabric once I hit it with heat. And then I'll just take my pieces, my little strips, and I'm pinning the top part with very tiny pins to keep them out of the way. And since I'm going to have to lift pieces, the strips, I don't want them to move. I'm going to pin the bottom with some bigger pins because I can pull them out easier. So let me pin this up. Oh, and of course then I'll have the opposite side showing, going the other way. So it'll look like this. These are pins from years and years ago. My mom used to make ornaments for the church Christmas fair, and these were, stick them into you stick them into styrofoam shapes. Now hindsight is 20/20. So what I've decided now in the middle of this, my art, my craft's very flexible. Nothing is written in stone. Since this is sticky, if I just touch the ends with the iron on the side and the top to just secure those down, I can get rid of those little pins and they won't be annoying. Now I need a little clearance on the adhesive backing because I don't want it to interfere with the weaving. So I'm taking this top one and moving it down. That'll make it easier and safer to do the heat setting. Good, 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 good. All right. Perfect. Now I have, this is a piece of the paper from Heat and Bond, and I can continue to use this to protect my iron from the heat, from the glue. So I can go down like this, and you see this little piece of adhesive sticking out. It won't stick to the iron. So let me just tack this down on all the edges. This piece, I hope, Tanya, doesn't have to be the same size as when it started, because it's not going to be. Alright, so I've got there. And I'll come back once I get the pins out to strengthen that adhesion. See, now the sole plate of my iron is going to be safe. Here, even when I went over, you can't really see that. Even when I went over here, it's not going to get the bottom of the iron. Oops, but it does stick to this. Alright, so now I'm going to pull out the little pins. I don't need them. They were going to be in the way, but should have thought of this ahead of time. So plan ahead. Yes, these are not going anywhere until, of course, watch what happens. As soon as I pick one up, it's going to fly away. Do this. Get all these out of the way. Get this one out. Move this over. Get this one out. Move it over. I'm liking this. I am liking this. What do you think? Ooh. Now before I heat set this, I want to make sure that all of the strips are in the right position and touching right next to each other. Butt them right up to each other, so there's no base fabric that we're going to have sticking through. Peeking through. No peeking through. Peeking through. Not allowed. Ooh. I'm going to look on the camera. You see the pins are necessary here because it's moving a little too much. I'm not happy with that. That's good. Let's see. Alright, we're at the moment of truth. I'm rethinking some of the things here, but I'll let you know about that when we're done to see if this comes out alright. What I just realized is there's no adhesive. These squares, the patterned squares, are laying over the upside down squares, so there'll be no glue on these squares. There'll be nothing holding them down. So I'm going to leave the borders on. This excess is going to stay on, because that'll be the only thing that's going to hold. I have marks here where I'm supposed to keep the work, and of course I don't check the marks. But anyway, I need to keep everything tight, and if I pull the pin, if I take it off if I trim it, that's what I mean. it's not going to be as stable. So now I'm just, moment of truth, gluing it all down. What I'm going to do now, let me just make sure that everything is glued down. So it's all stuck down wherever the fabric touches the heat and bond. It's all stuck down. Now I'm going to trim it a little bit just so it's more manageable. Oops. I even pinned the heat and bond to the cork because things were just moving all around. Now here's what I have. Very nice. Now let me make sure can you see that there's adhesive? Can you see the shiny as I'm peeling this off? There's the shiny. Oh, now you can really. Can you see this shiny piece? Oh, jeez. It really releases easily from the release paper of the heat and bond. Here's the mark. Don't go past the mark. It's very professional. Very professional. Production. Very. I've said this before, I'm still uncomfortable with videoing myself. This, not quite body dysmorphia, but it's very self-conscious. And look at that. Very nice. Why does that look like that? Oh, that's where the heat didn't hit. So, now this is fragile, but see, I'm going to save this. Fragile, but okay, it's not moving around. I'm saving this now because this will protect the iron. The release paper will not stick to the adhesive if I use another sheet, so these go in my ironing station. A lot of my projects are planned to a degree, but not completely planned, and sometimes not completely thought out. But I think I've done it correctly this time. Now, I had some difficulty finding a blue. This is blue. I don't know how it's turning out on the camera, but this is blue. A blue that matched a background blue that matched these. I couldn't find any, so I settled on gray. Now here's a think ahead piece. I have a little bit of the adhesive showing, so this is sticky on both sides because this melts. So I have to be sure that it doesn't melt to my iron. So I have the protective release paper still here. I didn't throw it out. And you'll see why this comes in handy. Just make sure everything is hunky-dory here. So now this is going to be the background fabric, and I'm going to adhere the whole woven piece to the gray fabric, and I'll trim it away after it's all adhered. When you finish adhering with heat and bond, it's good to let it set just a little bit to cool. If you don't, sometimes you'll pull it up because it hasn't cooled off, it hasn't set, like a glue gun or any other heat adhesive. And now you see it's not on the bottom of the iron. And everything is stuck together. Yes. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now I can put this away. And I'm going to trim this into a manageable size. We don't need all of this. And again, it's going to be, oh, I don't need to take this away. It's going to be easier to handle. I'm still leaving everything secured, but I'm only looking at this square in here. That to me is going to be the finished panel. One of the things I'm going to do is put some stitching right around the edges so that I know the strips are not going to move, because remember again, these are not adhered to anything. Let me show you so you can see it goes right through. So I don't want them to come loose. So I'm going to run a stay stitch kind of, I guess, all around the edge. And then it's going to be easier to deal with. So now comes the fun part. What do we do with this? Well, one thing I'm going to do is run some stitching diagonally and make it sort of like a quilt. You can see that I've made a square on the back, tacking down, oh, my lead closed, tacking down as best we could. So I'm going to do some back and forth. I'll show you in a minute. It can be boring watching this, so I'll do that and I'll be back. Well, that made a big difference. Look at how neat this is. This is going to fray a little, not a lot. It's going to be so... I'm tempted, I'm not going to, but I'm tempted to throw it in the machine, the washing machine. I see I have all the quilting done to hold everything down. Now, since I don't know what's going to happen with this, I'm going to just square it off, leaving a little bit of the overhangs in case we decide we want to put a border on it. Some of the overhang can be in the border. So I'll trim a little. It's not a perfect square because everything moved all around. But I am going to square it up a little bit, best we can. And actually, because it's so flexible, it can be manipulated a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to use that edge. Oh, it's not so bad. As my straight edge. Move this here so you can see better. I should stand and do the cutting. I bought a new office chair because one of the casters broke on the other one, and I thought they were all universal. Not. This one's about 2 inches, maybe a little more shorter than the other one, so I feel like I'm in a little hole trying to craft. Well, this is turning out to be squarer than I would have imagined. Very happy with it. There we go. This should be a little narrower. Here we are. Now this becomes the base of the project. So I could give this, I think, in the way it is, but I don't know. I'm probably going to put this away for tonight and decide if I want to do any more on this. Well, that was a bit dramatic. But what would a Bootsy video be without some drama? Well, this is my finished product. I am loving it. What I decided to do is in the plain squares, put in buttons. And we've been talking a lot lately about diversity and uniqueness and being yourself, standing out from the crowd. And I decided to put a beautiful red button in the middle to emphasize how important it is to be our authentic, unique selves. So the back is on a backing fabric, and the measurements shrunk. I guess it's maybe 2/3 the size when we started. So it's going to be 6 by 5 inches when you put a border around it. Perfect for a lot of applications. Pockets for a journal, cover for a small journal. It folds in half, which I thought unexpectedly could be used for a little case of some kind. It's going to be pretty durable. And I left the threads long. I thought that added to it. Anyway, Tanya, this was fun. I hope to contribute to as many challenges and hops as I can. It does challenge you, but it keeps you on schedule. I get things done. This is not a work in progress anymore. So thank you very much. And to everyone watching, I appreciate it if you've made it this far. Hope to see you again soon in another video. For some reason my voice is giving up. Until we meet again, please be safe. Please stay smart. Please stay well. And bye for now.